So this little doohickey right here, doohickey, is that still a word? That's what I'm gonna tell you about today. Hey guys, Nick again. There are a lot of things I love in life. I like rainy days, I like puppies, I like Stratocasters. But if there's one thing I love more than everything else, it's wireless technology. Oh yes, I love wireless technology for many, many reasons. However, I have not had a wireless unit on my guitar in many, many years because I really haven't needed them. Why? The old ones I had were big and bulky and they had the rabbit ear thingies on top and required a big battery pack and all this stuff on you. It's okay if you're doing gigs all the time, but not really practical for home. So when Lekato, maker of guitar gear and all kinds of very cool stuff, reached out to me a few weeks ago to ask me if I wanted to review one of their wireless units, I was pretty excited about it. Stay tuned, I'll tell you all about this really cool unit and why it might be the perfect wireless unit for you. Hold on, one last thing. Watch at the end of the show and I'll tell you exactly how to get a free set of these. How cool is that? How cool am I? How cool are you? We're all going to be cool with our wireless units, so stay tuned. Once again, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nick, guitar player from Detroit. I do a lot of gear reviews, some performance reviews, and various other things as well. Now, like I was saying before, I haven't had a wireless unit in many years because I really haven't needed one. Right around the 80s and 90s, I would have one, you know, like an 80 with the big rabbit ears, and it was really convenient. Well, it wasn't convenient. It was very nice on stage to have one because you weren't tethered to your amp or anything like that. Now, if you're sitting around the house and you're looking for something wireless, one of those big older units with a battery pack might not be the best solution. I mean, if you have one, cool, use it. But I didn't want to use that. So not too long ago, when wireless technology got a little bit better for guitars, I started seeing the little dongle transmitters, like the X Vive, I think that's the name of it, and a few other ones. I didn't think they were really good looking, and I figured they would be maybe not that good because they don't have the big power and the unit and all that. However, they've come a long way recently. Now, what I want to talk to you about is actually the Lacado WF-60. It's a wireless unit. It's 2.4 gigahertz, 12 milliseconds latency. The best ones on the market right now, or at least the best ones that I've seen, are right around 6. You know, if I really had to nitpick, I could probably sit there and think, oh yeah, it is a little bit slower than it's not really a big deal. I don't notice it at all, otherwise I wouldn't use it. So about an hour and a half worth of charging gives you about 5 hours of battery use from this, which is pretty good considering that's a standard with most of them nowadays. And those are units that are like 3 or 4 times or even more the price of these. Now the box alone actually works pretty well because it seals itself pretty good and it's pretty good for transporting them around. It's got a little padding in there. You can throw them in your gig bag without having to throw these in there separately and maybe damage them or something like that. So they did a pretty good job with the box, making it an actual, like a little transport thing. Another cool thing about the WS60s is that these are the only ones that come in stereo. Now when you take this off, it has different tips on it. It has a very cool 3.5 millimeter stereo. It's got a tip for a 1/4 inch stereo, a tip for a 1/4 inch mono. Now guitars and instruments in general are mono, so I took the stereo one that came with the default and put the mono on both ends so I can put one on my guitar, one on my amp. Now I know one more thing you're asking, how far can these go? These have about a good range, about a line of sight range, meaning ideal if there's nothing in your way. It can go to about 100 feet, which is pretty good. That's farther than I'd probably ever go with this thing. Even on a big stage, I mean, you're not going to be blasting something that far. So it's a pretty good range. There's a lot of them that are actually more expensive than this and more robust professional units, so to speak, that only have a 50 or 60 foot range, which is still pretty good. But 100 foot range for like around the house or rehearsals or practice or potentially some gigs, not too bad. Now you get all this for the whopping low price of about 48 bucks, which is nothing for a good wireless unit. So you can have these pretty much on any guitar you want. Great gift for yourself, for any musician. And I'll tell you what, they're a lot of fun to have. And as much as I love my monster cables, and I've talked about that before, there's something very liberating and free when I don't have to if I take like another amp out in the living room or something, if I don't need my extra cable and I have to flip the cable around, if I'm sitting on a couch and I have to make sure that I don't step on it or somebody trips on it, it's really nice to have something cordless like this so I can walk around with it, or I can walk with my guitar and not get yanked back by a cable or something like that, which has happened more than once and probably you as well too. But these are really cool because they allow you to roam around freely anywhere you want, well, within 100 feet. Here's another cool thing. When I first got these, I figured, oh, they're 2 different units. I'm going to have to charge them separately, and I'm never, you know, one of them is going to have to wait, and the other one's going to have to do. But they give you this USB cord, which goes to anything, and the other end of it has 2 of these, so you can charge them both at the same time. I would imagine a lot of things are like that, but that kind of blew me away. I was like, oh, what a great idea. I don't have anything like this so far, so that's pretty cool. First impression on the units, I'm very funny about like how rugged things are and how they feel. If it feels too cheap and it's going to break easy, I'm usually not interested in it because I'm kind of tough on my gear because I use my gear like tools. I don't baby my stuff and put it on shelves to like look at and never touch. I use it a lot, so it needs to be kind of tough. These actually feel really, really good. They're built well. They don't feel cheap at all. The buttons have a very good positive feel to them. Like I said, it doesn't feel cheap. It feels like a very good quality build. The movement, the smoothness, everything's really, really well put together on these. So that's pretty cool because these are actually pretty nice looking when they're on your guitar. They don't look like somebody's key fob hanging off your guitar, which looks kind of stupid, and a lot of the other ones look kind of bad. Now let's be realistic about this. They're $49 wireless units. They have a pretty good range, a good standard range that all the other ones have. They have a pretty good charging time. They're built pretty well. They have a slightly lower than like premium latency, which still isn't bad. I didn't notice it, and I'm funny about latency anyways. I don't like that. I think these are great for the house. Like if you're a home player, hobby player, these are fantastic. You won't have any problems with these that I can see. They seem to work very well, and they're not too expensive that they're going to bankrupt you for something that's going to last probably quite a long time. Are these the most rugged, cutting-edge technology, longest battery life, farthest range, absolutely lowest latency, perfect epitome of wireless technology for guitar? No, they're not. For the low price of $48, this is not going to be them, and it's not supposed to be. But for $49, these are an excellent unit for most things. I'm going to be using these all around the house as much as I can. I'm going to use these for band practice. I will start actually using them at gigs to see how they perform well. If they get to the point where I'm comfortable with them and I think they're pretty consistent, I'll absolutely use these as gig. But just like anything, I'm going to have my cord as a backup, so if something goes wrong in the middle of the set, I can actually unplug it and put my cord in there. So it's always going to have a backup for any reason like that. Not that it knocks the quality of this at all, but just good when you're testing out new gear of any range for that matter. I'll tell you another thing that's really cool about this, for me in particular, anybody else with a YouTube channel that you're making videos, it's one less cord for me to be tripping over when I'm putting up all these cameras and lights and cords and things like that when I'm making guitar videos. So that's definitely very nice to record straight to this. Another very cool thing about these, you can take the ends off. Hold on, let me get that in focus. There you go. Take the ends off, use a 3.5mm stereo ends, put the transmitter in your whatever you're doing, like for instance GarageBand. I'm doing something in GarageBand from my amp into GarageBand, has a track in it. That end track that's I'm going to be mixing with, it's going to be transmitted on one of these and received by my camera. I can do that too because that way it makes it a lot easier for me to record the stuff with, again, with less cables around here. So that's definitely very nice for anybody who's got cableitis. Is that cableitis? Cable problems, cable issues, cable challenges. Maybe you just don't like cables. Who would I recommend these for? I would recommend these for anybody who needs a really good wireless unit around the house, is just getting into wireless units. Very small, very easy to charge, very quick to charge, very easy to use, very user-friendly, and works great. Just a lot of fun, so you don't have to carry so much stuff around the house or to band practice. The unit kind of looks like this. So if you pull it up, it goes all the way almost backward like that, and it can move around. Now for a Stratocaster, which are kind of odd angles in general, you can put it in two ways. I tend to put it in this way, which is kind of backwards. Now that doesn't really get in the way of my hand, and if I need to, I can just pull it out like that. If I were to playing and I were to be standing up with a strap, I might have it the other way. But for right here, it stays out of the way if I sit down. You know, it's not like banging on a couch. You can put it in the other way as well, so it's actually coming down. Now this would probably be a little bit more out of the way of your hand like this. However, because of this, I would be very careful on it because I wouldn't want to jam it too much like this if I'm sitting down with it, because I sit down with these a lot on a couch, something like that. If you sit down and this gets pushed further than it needs to, or smashed this way, could damage the unit. Just a heads up, because I can see where a potential of that might be. Not because of any flaw in the unit, it's just because of the way these dongles are made. So that's why for me, I always put it in the other way. As of right now, these come in two different colors. They come in red transmitter, black receiver, with a little red on the side. This would be what goes in the guitar. This goes in your amp right over there. They also come in the black model, which is transmitter and receiver. Pretty cool. So if you're an occasional buffoon like me, you'll be actually putting these in the wrong locations. You'll be putting the transmitter into something that should be receiving, and vice versa. For distinguished people like us, they do have words on the front that are printed on there, which are very, very helpful. That tells us which is the receiver, which is the transmitter. Now, if you would like a free set of this, completely free, I'll mail it out directly to you. Make sure you follow the directions in the description. I will be picking a winner of all the different people that follow the directions, you'll see them below, within about the next week or so. In the meantime, if you just want to buy a set or something like that for yourself or for anybody else, I'll also have a link in the description. I got you a good price that I found them on Amazon. Definitely hook you up with these because you're my boys, my girls, you're my buddies. Once again, thanks Lekato for sending these out so I can have one good unit, and so one very lucky viewer will get another unit very, very soon. Guys, let me know what you think about the review. If there's any other different ways you want me to test this for you, if there's any other information or detail I can give you on these, or if you have any wireless units, let's talk about wireless units. Do you have a wireless unit? How do you like it? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Now that I'm getting into wireless units, again, thanks to Lekato, and I might not need anything else after this, but now that I'm looking into them, I'd be kind of interested on what you might be using, how you use it, if you use it at home, if you use it for recording, if you use it for gigs, how rugged it is, if you have any pros, cons, if you have anything you'd recommend, or if you have anything that I should avoid. You guys have a great day. Take care. Rock on.